Joe Rogan, he wasn't falling for it anymore.
Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy. But watching him just straight up lie.
The last election opened a lot of people's eyes to the tactics Democrats used to shape the narrative. And Rogan wasn't the only one calling it out, because Jesse Waters put together a comparison that exposes a lot of it. So if you enjoy content that just cuts through the noise, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
I remember Michelle Obama saying if Trump won, women would suffer.
If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage.
So let's check in on Michelle.
Attention, everybody. We are full of joy and here today. So honored to have you, Michelle Obama, at a happy place. Michelle Obama's walking, we can't let her go. She's a classy lady, we just love her so. We got Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama looks proud of her country again. Everybody should be scared, right? At the Obama house, it's Christmas as usual. The only thing keeping Michelle up at night is what to stuff in Barack's stocking. It's almost like she's saying life goes on. The whole democracy is on the line was just a line.
It is kind of absurd when you think about it. More than a decade after leaving the White House, and the Obamas still act like they have the same political influence that they once did. It gets even stranger when you look at what Michelle has been doing lately. Every other appearance seems to revolve around portraying herself as some type of victim, taking not so subtle jabs at Barack or warning everyone about the supposed dangers of the Trump presidency. As for Obama, he keeps going back to that same playbook time and time again, leaning on identity politics while recycling the usual debunked propaganda. It's no surprise Joe Rogan has grown tired of hearing the same dishonesty from them over and over.
I don't think we can recall a time in our history where we did trust the government. But which is such a weird thing to say. You know, I used to think it was the Obama administration, but boy, Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
Boy. Really? Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did, just as an intelligent person, a statesman. I felt like he's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You know, you think you're going to do something, and then you get into office, and you're like, oh, God, what a quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump, the thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist, which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017.
Yeah.
You know, I think it worked back then. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. I think that we've gotten numb to all this stuff.
Well, it's the sky is falling thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Apart from the constant doomsdayism or the outright lies, one of the Obama's favorite tactics is nonstop gaslighting, acting as if Democratic candidates are somehow entitled to people's votes. For instance, during the 2024 cycle, Barack called on black men to get behind Harris and get out to vote, claiming that lack of enthusiasm for Harris seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. Going on to add, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives or other reasons for that. Notice what was missing? Literally any discussion of her policies or why people should actually support her? Believe it or not, one Democrat ended up celebrating Trump's victory, and it's probably the last person you'd expect. I'm going to tell you more about it right after a quick message from today's sponsor. All right, this one is strategic. Modern defense is only as strong as its supply chain, and right now, Washington is racing to close one of our biggest vulnerabilities. Almost every fighter jet, tank, missile, advanced weapon system, it all depends on tungsten. Yet we haven't commercially mined the metal in nearly a decade. That's why the White House is investing heavily to rebuild domestic supply. The Pentagon has already committed funding to restart U.S. tungsten production, while Trump signed Project Vault. which brings another $12 billion into critical minerals. Add another $30 billion announced to strengthen domestic supply chains, and the direction is clear. This is where Vault Strategic Mining comes in, trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the US. The company is assembling what could become one of the most strategic tungsten portfolios in the country. Rather than searching for new deposits, Vault focuses on historic American mines, applying modern exploration to bring proven assets back to life. Its flagship project in Nevada operated under a defense minerals exploration contract during World War II, making this more than a new discovery story. It's about restoring a resource that once supported America's defense industry. Timing also matters. Tungsten prices remain near record levels as governments look for a secure supply outside China. Vault's flagship sits within one of North America's most productive historic tungsten belts, placing the company directly where demand and policy are beginning to align. If you want to learn more about them, check the link in the description. A special thanks to Vault Strategic Mining for making today's video possible.
When Obama had to shake hands with Trump and do the whole transition thing, Obama looked like Jesus Christ. Look at Biden. Look at his smile, dude. Look at that smile. That has never been happier in his life. In his life, he's like that. She went down. You can't tell me he wasn't happy. Like when he put that MAGA hat on. You ever see that?
Oh yeah.
He put the MAGA hat on. And he took it with him on the plane. I guarantee you that was happy. He had a giant smile on his face. He said, "Welcome back" to him. I thought it was Hitler. I thought he was dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they all said, right? It's like, hey, this is he's a threat to democracy.
I thought he was a Nazi.
And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're going to have a smooth transition here.
This was the guy that you said was sharp as a tack. He was going to be up until 4 months ago. 4 months ago, that guy was going to be running again. And now here he is, smiling like a Cheshire cat. How big was his smile? That's a crazy smile.
Oh, man.
There was a theory floating around after the 2024 election that the Bidens were actually relieved Trump won. Looking at Jill and Hunter's interviews since then, you can at least understand why some people believe it. They clearly weren't happy with the Democratic establishment forcing Joe out, which might explain the big smile in this photo and the stone-cold expression in that one. But that brings me back to the main point. Democrats love running on a sky is falling message every election cycle. Yet once the votes are counted, it's back to business as usual. Some of them even head off on vacation to recover from months of fear-mongering they spent selling to the public. Kamala is a perfect example of that.
Kamala Harris, same thing. She lost to a tyrant, and she's still laughing.
Good morning. Oh. Remember the context in which you exist. Yeah, I did that. In the face of an obstacle, do we throw up our hands or do we roll up our sleeves? And as we approach...
She doesn't seem very worried that Trump's not in prison. Kamala just robbed donors to pay Oprah and Sharpton, then flew to Hawaii for a week with Doug. I guess that's normal. Actions speak louder than words. And dancing like Michelle and cackling like Kamala after scaring the hell out of us about how big of a threat Trump was kind of gives away the game.
What's even worse is that they never seem to learn the lesson. Every election cycle, it's the same script. Trump is a tyrant, a dictator, or somehow the reincarnation of Stalin, and that mustache man rolled into one. The goal is obvious: scare people into voting rather than giving them something to vote for. Imagine if even half that energy and airtime were spent explaining actual policy instead. That's how elections are supposed to work. We can't have one party campaigning on what it plans to do while the other keeps running on the message, vote for us because we're not the other guys. At some point, they have to acknowledge to the American people that we deserve more than endless fear-mongering and debunked lies.